Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz says Putrajaya plans to table a motion to lift the statutory debt ceiling in the next parliamentary sitting session. Zafrul was speaking at the Dewan Rakyat special meeting this morning. He said Malaysia's statutory debt level stood at 56.8% to GDP, relative to the statutory debt ceiling of 60%. With limited fiscal space, he said the government has no choice but to optimize existing financial resources through rationalization of spending, sourcing additional revenue from its ecosystem. This includes the utilization of the National Trust Fund as well as the readiness to increase the ceiling for the COVID-19 fund. At the same time, the government is ready to relax the debt restrictions to support the economic recovery plan. This is based on the indebtedness ability of the nation. Putrajaya has introduced 8 stimulus packages since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, totaling 530 billion ringgit, inclusive of fiscal injection totaling around 83 billion ringgit. The next Dewan Rakyat sitting under the 4th session of the 14th Parliament is scheduled from September 6th to 30th, 2021. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong is disappointed that the Cabinet had decided to revoke the emergency ordinances promulgated during the state of emergency without receiving his consent. According to a statement from Istana Negara, Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah was likewise displeased that the proposal to revoke the ordinances was not debated in Parliament, even after he had given his consent to the matter while granting a virtual audience to de facto Law Minister Datuk Sri Taqiyuddin Hassan and Attorney General Tan Sri Idris Harun over the weekend. The palace also stressed that Taqiyuddin's statement to Parliament on the cancellation of the ordinances was inaccurate and had confused the MPs. Following the statement, a brief commotion occurred at Parliament. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim submitted a motion of no confidence against Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, though it was not addressed, as proceedings in the Dewan Rakyat were adjourned to Monday in light of a COVID-19 scare. Meanwhile, UMNO President Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said in a statement that UMNO will request for Muhyiddin and Taqiyuddin to respectfully resign over PN's clearly treacherous action. In response, the Prime Minister's office said the government had revoked the said ordinances in accordance with the law. In a statement issued late evening, it also noted that under the Federal Constitution, as acknowledged by the King himself, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is to accept and act upon the advice of the Cabinet. However, it did not state whether the King had indeed provided his consent on the advice and the decision to revoke the ordinances. Rights group Liberty Shared has reportedly asked the US Customs and Border Protection to probe the Malaysian operations of Goodyear Tyre and Rubber Co. over accusations of abusive labour practices. According to Reuters, the Hong Kong-based anti-trafficking group said its June petition to the agency, which was based on lawsuits and police reports by migrant workers, was probably the first such effort against a subsidiary of an American-owned company in Southeast Asia. Quoting the group's managing director, Duncan Jepson, the newswire said the conditions and treatment the foreign workers have endured seem to satisfy the International Labour Organization's forced labour indicators. It said Goodyear claimed it was not aware of any petition on the matter, while the UN agency did not immediately respond to a request for comment. In May, Reuters reported that Goodyear Malaysia was asked by an industrial court to pay back wages to migrant workers and comply with a collective pact after it was sued over unpaid wages, unlawful overtime and threats to foreign workers at its factory. It has challenged 2 verdicts in the High Court. Reuters said in Goodyear's response to the rights group's comments, the tyre maker said that it had strong policies to protect human rights and takes seriously any allegations of improper behaviour. According to the report, PNB, which owns 49% of Goodyear Malaysia, did not immediately respond to a request for comment, while the US Customs and Border Protection said it does not comment on whether specific entities are being investigated. Sime Darby says it believes there is value in the company's shares, and a share buyback will provide some support to its share price. Its head of strategy, Koh Eng Seng, told the edgemarkets.com today that the stock sometimes trades lower than what the group perceives the value to be, even when taking a very conservative view based on its net tangible assets. He said the share buyback gives the group a way of supporting its share price and showing that its management really believes in the value of its organisation. Once the conglomerate buys its shares on the open market and converts them into treasury securities, he said the treasury shares can be given out as dividends to shareholders. Yesterday, the group said in a bourse filing that it had appointed CGS CIMB Securities as the stockbroker to facilitate the exercise. According to Sime Darby's latest quarterly financial report filing with Bursa, its number of issued shares stands at 6.8 billion. The company's shares fell 1.4% to RM2.16 today, valuing it at 14.69 billion ringgit. Its latest reported net assets per share stood at RM2.30. Petronas is contending that a purported statement by Ocean Wind International Industrial, which alleged the latter is close to signing an MOU with the company, is false. In an emailed statement to the edgemarkets.com, the Malaysian national oil company said it has not had any discussion with the Hong Kong-based firm to date, despite news reports to the contrary. The edgemarkets.com had earlier forwarded Petronas the purported statement dated July 19, 2021 to verify the claim. The statement, which appeared to have been sourced from Newswire's website, was carried on Digital Journal's website but could not be found on Ocean Wind International's website. The statement claimed the company had said it is confident that it will soon agree on the terms of the MOU with a view of securing what it refers to as a substantial investment from Petronas to further improve the efficacy of the oil and gas giant's floating wind turbine mooring infrastructure. At the time of writing, Jeremy Fitzroy, who is Ocean Wind International's chairman and CEO, has not responded to the edgemarkets.com's emailed request for clarification.